All right, good evening and welcome to tonight's APS online meeting. We're going to talk a little bit about specific things coming up in the fall for Thunder Bay Junior High, grades 6 through 8. Joining me tonight, we have Nancy Abram, who is the current APS online liaison for middle school. We have Megan Black, currently the assistant principal at Thunder Bay Junior High School. Craig Barrett, who is the guru of APS Online, and Jenny Saya, who is the counselor at Thunder Bay Junior High. So Megan, I don't know if there's anything you want to share before we get rolling.
Yeah, I think I would just like to say welcome. We're excited to be able to share this information with you. It will give you a great guideline to follow as we move into the next year. As always, if you have any questions, any concerns, you can reach out to myself or to Jenny or to Tom. You'll see that at the end of the slideshow presentation. You'll have all our contact information, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Perfect. Nancy, anything you want to add as we get started?
No, Megan did a really good job there. Basically, it's been an interesting year. I know it's been a wild ride with all of our COVID kids that wanted to do online, but it'll be interesting to see who comes back in the fall. I know that we have some students that are definitely interested in doing that. So,
absolutely. Jenny, anything you want to kick us off with to share?
No, I think I'll wait for any questions at the end.
Perfect. All right, so let's get rolling with the main event here. So tonight's purpose, the reasoning why we're here, is really to provide information for our families specific to Thunder Bay Junior High about any parent that is thinking about having their student take online classes this fall. We know that this year has been hectic and been confusing and been helter-skelter. Hopefully, as we approach this coming fall, things settle down a little bit so that we're able to have a little bit of a better understanding of where we're heading. But APS Online will continue to be an opportunity for any family that wants to have their students work remotely and get their education from a remote setting. There's other options too for APS Online that we're going to cover here shortly as well. So again, obviously online learning this year has been a completely different animal. It definitely, when we kicked off in the fall, was something that nobody really anticipated. Districts from all over the state were really scrambling. The Genesee ISD, who really is the hub for most of our online courses, had an absolute Niagara Fall type waterfall situation with online courses. At one point, they yanked a bunch of classes off the offerings because they didn't have licensed teachers, which of course caused backlogs. So it was an absolute mess. But at the end of the day, education is still essential. We still provided that as best as we can through a pandemic, and certainly APS Online continues to learn and evolve as we learn from our mistakes and improve our programming. So just so everybody kind of hears this, as you look about making your strategy for the educational plan that best fits you and your family for this coming fall. The plan right now for APS for all Alpena Public School students is a 100% return to face-to-face instruction 5 days a week this August for all K-12 students. So that is the plan right now, that when we return the end of August before Labor Day, that all students will have 5 days of full face-to-face instruction. So again, as parents begin to plan what the fall plan for their child will be, keep this in mind as you have these conversations, is every child will be looking to return. Other details of that return, however, will not be finalized until we get closer to August, once we see where COVID numbers are, where our vaccination rates are, and frankly, where our community is at the COVID mitigation. So stay tuned to details, but the skeleton of the plan is this, that all students will be face-to-face 5 days a week come August. So a little bit of a history lesson of where APS Online kind of was born. The Michigan legislature passed a law called 21F, in which all students in grades 6 through 12, as well as K through 5, specifically if they're enrolled through a part-time basis like the partnership. So really K-12 students, predominantly 6 through 12 students, may take up to 2 online courses during an academic term that they can request. So that's kind of the basis of where APS Online was born, was through 21F law, in which we began offering some of these online courses for students. So what online options do Alpena Public School students have? So it really depends on the grade level. If your student is a K through 5 student, they really only have one option to have online courses, and that is to be 100% fully online, in which you take all of your classes, your 4 core plus your electives, fully online from a remote setting. That's really the only option K through 5 parents have. When you get up to the junior high, they still have that fully online option, and then they have option 2, which is they can take up to 2 classes online, which is part of that 21F. So both Alpena High School and Thunder Bay Junior High students can take 2 online courses during their day. And then you get up to the high school where they have all 3 options, where they can be fully online, can take 1 to 2 classes, can also take 3 or more online classes as well. So Alpena High School students have more of a range of courses they can take, but for purposes of our conversation tonight for the junior high, we're really only talking about students that are fully online, or students that want to take 1 or 2 classes during their school day at Thunder Bay. So what online vendors do we offer? This is really not a change next school year. Option number 1 is really our preferred option for all students, and that is called Edison Learning. The reasoning why is it's a little bit easier for us to navigate through it. So all core classes will predominantly be through Edison for students, plus some electives. And the reason why we recommend students, if possible, taking all of their courses through Edison is you have one dashboard, which means as your students are progressing through their courses, they have one website they go to, one dashboard, everything's there, one-stop shop. For students in junior high, it's a little bit easier for them to maneuver having one dashboard versus 2 or 3. And here's kind of an example of what I'm talking about. This is an example of an Edison Learning homepage. So if you as a student have all 6 of your classes or all 5 of your classes all the way in Edison, all of those courses will show up on this dashboard. Versus if you have your 4 core through Edison and then maybe another vendor, you'll actually have 2 dashboards they have to work through. Gets a little bit more cumbersome, especially for some of our younger online learners. So just something to think about. But certainly if you find an elective that really fuels your students, and, pun intended, since I'm talking about fuel ed, if it really fuels an inspiration in your student, we certainly don't want to squash that passion. So students may choose from a vendor called Fuel Ed for some additional electives. And the third option is another one, Edgenuity, as well in there as well, for an additional elective courses. So predominantly we like our kids, especially at the junior high level, to stick with all Edison if possible, but we certainly will respect a request to take an elective through one of the other vendors. So what if online is not working for me or my students? So if your student kicks off the school year, is online, we start through the dog days of the summer, school starts first week in August, they go through just really, really not liking it, or things are not what they thought they were going to be in the buildings and things are looking a little bit better. The way that we work this is once a course is activated by either Nancy or Craig or whomever is pushing the buttons of activation for online courses, once that button is pushed and a course is activated, your student has 10 days to make that decision of dropping that online course and returning to face-to-face learning. So if they're completely virtual or they have 1 or 2 classes, they can drop their online courses, but only to substitute it for a face-to-face. Once a course is activated, we don't allow students to drop an online for a different online. And there's some extenuating circumstances, but on average, once a student begins a course and is activated, they have 10 days to either decide to come back to face-to-face. Once you hit that 10th day, it is a semester-long commitment. So after day 10 of a course being activated, we certainly say, okay, they've made a commitment, and we look for you not to make another option choice of returning to face-to-face until second semester in January of 2022. So just kind of something to have in the back of your pocket. There is an option for a kid to come back to face-to-face from online, but generally after that 10th day, you've committed for the semester. So here's our timeline of what decision-making we have for APS Online for the fall. So right now we are here at the very end. It is March 18th. We are talking about this right now. April 9th becomes what we call preliminary decision day. So on April 9th, we would ask parents that right now are really sure their kid is going to be online, or about 90% sure. There's just going to be a quick little questionnaire form that they can submit, just submitting your name, the student's name, the grade, the school, just so we have a running list of students that are electing to go online for the fall. Is it a concrete decision? Nope. You can change your mind come August, but it's just a preliminary list because at the secondary level, we are right now looking at staffing for the fall, and just want to have a general idea of what kids we have that are not going to set foot in our building, both so that we can staff our face-to-face classes accordingly and so we can find appropriate level of online mentors. So April 9th is kind of that preliminary day. Then we get into August. August 6th is going to be a full K-12 online parent meeting in which we will then walk through the details of what online will look like. We'll have no more information about COVID within our community and our school district. And then August 9th, that is the final decision for any parent to go or any student to go 100% fully online. So that is certainly something we want parents to keep in mind, that once we get to August 9th, that decision really needs to be made for a fully online. Next question always, somebody have a question? I heard somebody speak up. Okay. If your child is choosing the option at the junior high of 1 or 2 classes, the request for that needs to be made before they leave for the summer. So on June 4th, when our students are let out for the year and go home for the summer months, any student that is taking 1 or 2 classes at the junior high into their school day and the other 4 classes or 5 classes are face-to-face, 21F says they have to make the request for an online class the semester before. So make sure that if your student is interested in 1 or 2 online courses, that they're having that conversation with somebody at the junior high, preferably Mrs. Saya. So have that conversation. If your student is currently an 8th grader, the conversation they'll want to have is with Mrs. Madison, who is currently the 9th grade counselor here at Alpena High School. So if your student is going to be still at the junior high in the fall, talk to Mrs. Saya. If they are transitioning to the high school in the fall, they can talk to Mrs. Madison. So that's kind of our timeline of what we're looking at for APS online. And the question then becomes, why August 9th? Well, we don't want a nightmare like we had this past August. We don't want to have to pound a square peg into a round hole with trying to get all these kids logged in. Our goal is that when classes start in August, that these online students can start as close to the first day of face-to-face instruction as possible. So it helps the counselors, it helps administration, and it really helps those like Mr. Barrett, who is inputting all the data for online kids as far as keeping things timely. So that's why we have the timeline the way we have it. So again, your options are fully online. There'll be a preliminary survey that is currently right now available on our website, and I'll show you how to get there. If your student, since we're talking about the junior high, if they're interested in 1 or 2 classes, again, they should be contacting their counselor. The website is alpenaschools.com. Once you get there, you click on the schools tab, it'll drop down. Under programs, we have APS online right here. So once you click on that, the page will look exactly like this. I encourage any parent watching this that student was not online this year or missed some of the information we had back in November, just kind of take a quick gander at the slideshow and the meeting video we had from back in late fall. That'll give you some information, specific information of online. You click on the enrollment button. Here on the page, the preliminary decision application is there. So go ahead and you can complete that at your convenience. It will be open through 11:59 p.m. on April 9th for any parent to submit their name, just so that we have a general understanding of that information. Also down here, you can see direct links to our individuals that can answer your questions. So for grades 6 through 8, Nancy Abram is a wonderful resource for any questions you may have. So right now, I'll kind of open the forum up. Are there any questions on anything that we covered tonight or anything we didn't cover that you're wondering about?
This is April. I don't know if there's any other parents in here. I do have a question. I fill out so many forms. I'm not sure. I thought I did a survey because my triplets will be online until high school. So I thought I filled out a survey, but I don't know for sure. But I did tell Mrs. Smith. I communicated that with her.
Okay,
It's easier because I have one with a 504. It's easier for me to monitor him
Yep.
online and kind of work with him one-on-one. So do
Are they-
even
are
if
they
I
gonna
think I
be-
filled out that survey? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Are they gonna be freshmen this year or are they still at the junior high?
They're 6th grade this year. They'll be 7th grade next year.
Okay. Yep, so if you could just submit one of those for all of them, that just kind of helps us make sure you're categorized in that area. Generally, enrollment for APS Online is year to year, just for that
Okay.
purpose. So,
Yeah.
you can go on there right now and fill out 3 of those surveys because we'll need 1 for each kid.
Right.
And then we'll have you on the list, and then we'll make sure that Jenny at the junior high is aware that your students going into 7th grade in the fall will be locked into online.
My question, I filled something out though. I'm just wondering, is this a new survey too?
Yeah, this will be something
Okay.
new that's geared specifically for 21-22. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it's the first document that we've uploaded that is earmarked specifically for next school year.
Okay. That was my question. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm glad that you're kind of already got your ducks in a row. So that'll be helpful for the junior high in that aspect.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Any other questions from anybody else in the room? All right. So again, here's some names of some individuals that you can reach out to. We have Megan Black, like I mentioned earlier, who's the assistant principal. There is her email right there. And then we have Jenny Saya, who is the counselor down at the junior high, and there is her email. And then, of course, if you just want to get a hold of them via phone, you can call the main office at the junior high, 358-5400. And the lovely secretaries at junior high will transfer you to the appropriate person. I would recommend reaching out to them if it's a specific question regarding their schedule, because they're the ones that are kind of in the middle of the mud when it comes to scheduling for next school year. If you have a specific, say, APS Online question that's not necessarily specific to the junior high, here is my contact information. You can email me or call me anytime. I'll be more than happy to sit down and walk you through any types of questions or concerns you have. And then we'll make sure we get the ball rolling for your child. So plenty of people to reach out to. You can actually email Mrs. Abram directly as well through the APS online website, and she'll be more than happy to help you as well. There is no shortage of friendly faces that can help you with this journey for your children. So with that, any other comments from the APS staff that are in the meeting tonight? Make sure I covered everything correct. All right, so I take that as a yes. Megan, have anything to add?
Yeah.
Oh, it just took me a minute to unmute. I think all the great information tonight. I hope it'll help families make some good decisions as they move forward.
Absolutely. All right, so we will be uploading this video to YouTube, and then anybody can watch it. So if anybody has any questions after they watch it later, or anybody in the room has questions later, they can certainly share that with us. So at this time, we will conclude our meeting, and thanks everybody for attending, and we will make sure that this is available later.